I want to play a quick little game with this. Okay, are you ready for a little game?
Hit me.
All right. I'm going to name off players who are drastically outperforming or drastically underperforming their draft slot, and I want you to let me know whether you think it's more likely that they're going to be on the week 1 through 4 side or the preseason side. Okay, it's going to be a rapid fire game, Matt. That's how we're going to keep this show nice and tight. The first one, of course, is the famous first overall pick of the 2020 draft class, finally delivering on his promise. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is averaging 18.9 points per game in fantasy football. He is the RB4 overall in fantasy football. Is Clyde Edwards-Helaire more likely to finish closer to his RB4 current price or his RB25 ADV? And again, this isn't end of year finish, so this does not include what he's done so far. I'm simply saying week 5 through 17, closer to RB25, closer to RB4.
I think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire was an excellent pick in redraft this year. I would just like to say that, prefacing my stance at this juncture. The reason that we wanted to pick Clyde Edwards-Helaire was he had the opportunity to win the role. Now we're 4 weeks in. He has not won the role. We are getting absolutely lucky on touchdowns. Like Patrick Mahomes is doing these things where like people are literally laughing out loud watching because it's so like the play where he like ran and like dodged the dude and then like ran a little bit more up the sideline, then like spin moved around the guy, then like dropped one over everyone else into Clyde Edwards-Helaire's open arms was completely ridiculous. And that's just not, even for Patrick Mahomes, that's not repeatable. And I think I saw a tweet the other day about Clyde Edwards-Helaire having something like 4 goal line receiving touchdown. Maybe it was 2. I can't remember. He had a lot. And the like season high for the last several years has been 2 goal line receiving touchdowns for a receiving back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has hit that or more. I can't remember the specifics. The point is he is getting...
And he's not even really a receiving back. Like he's ran more routes than Jerick McKinnon in 1 of the 4 games.
He's not even the receiving. He's the receiving goal line back. It's a very specialized role.
Well, he's not getting all the goal line touches either. It's just the ones.
No, just the receiving ones.
Yeah. Well, like that's the crazy part is in last night's game, right? Like it was just so funny because everybody was saying, "Oh, we got to sell high on Clyde. We got to sell high on Clyde." I'm like, sure enough, in the first half of that game, he scores 2 touchdowns on 2 touches. Isaiah Pacheco also had a green zone touch, did not succeed. Jerick McKinnon also has a green zone target and a green zone carry, did not succeed on either ones. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire's rushing touchdown was a handoff from Jerick McKinnon. So just truly incredible stuff.
Yeah, so like he's just not going to keep this up. Like if you're expecting anything near what he's doing right now, it's absolutely not happening. I think like barring an injury, I don't think there's any way he even comes close to this. I think if there is an injury, there's a chance that he has a top 12 finish, like rest of season. But outside of an injury, he's going to be in the late teens, unless he just keeps riding this touchdown wave like he has been, which has been completely wonderful because I have him in Scott Fishbowl. People made fun of me. Can you believe this? People made fun of me for my Scott Fishbowl draft because I only took 3 running backs. And I was like, well, if you only need to take 3 running backs, just take the good ones and then you don't have to worry about it. So that's what I did. Yeah. Do you know who my running backs are?
I do know who your running backs are. Yeah.
You want to know who they are? Good. Like when I picked them?
Yeah, Barkley, Sanders, and Clyde. Yeah,
that's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah. It feels like a pretty good.
I don't want to talk about Scott Fishbowl because I had Clyde the Scott Fishbowl last year. That was not a fun experience. And then every year, man, every year I keep thinking, I go into the Scott Fishbowl. I'm like, I'm going to try 0 RB in the Scott Fishbowl, and then I don't. I end up drafting a running back. And then by week 4, I just am doing 0 RB because, of course, I had Javonte Williams. So I no longer have running back in the Scott Fishbowl just in time to play you this week. So I can't wait to get slaughtered starting Khalil Herbert and Tyler Algier this week on my decrepit roster.
It's going to be tough to beat because I have Saquon Barkley, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Miles Sanders. And it's a pretty good trio considering I took 2 of them at the 8-9 turn.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid value, I think, on those individuals. All right, here's what I said about Clyde. Right, he's literally doing the James Conner 2021 season.
That's what I said. I said that in this page. Did you see?
Oh, Well, you're later than me because I tweeted it during last night's game. I said, step 1, score a touchdown every time your team even sniffs the red zone. Step 2, get out-snapped by the receiving back, causing Twitter to tilt your unsustainable production. Step 3, other running back gets hurt. Step 4, keep scoring at elite levels on an actually sustainable role. Step 5, get a big contract and people act like everything was foreseeable the entire way. That's what he's doing. He's just not at step 3 yet. So Jerick McKinnon, your days are numbered, dude.
This is what we do. Last year, James Conner was my guy. I'm out here pounding the pavement, telling you got to go get some James Conner because there's a chance he wins the role, and if he doesn't win the role, he's still going to have a role. And then when the other guy gets hurt, he has the contingent upside that everyone took, AJ Dillon in like round 4 to get, but James Conner was way later, and Miles Sanders and Clyde Edwards-Helaire were way later, and here we are. Just
all right.
I'm pretty sure I said this like on Sunday. It was great. I was like, "Hey, look at this is the Leonard Fournette and James Conner thing." Last year,
those are very different.
Leonard Fournette and
these are different. Like Leonard Fournette actually just was the bell cow, right?
Yeah, which is what
Clyde's not doing the Fournette thing. Well, we'll talk about whether Miles Sanders is doing it. Clyde's doing the Conner thing, where he's like luck boxing for half the season, and then he might get the other half, where he like luck boxes, and then he gets the injury, and then he just keeps scoring the same amount of points. That's
Miles Sanders is doing the Leonard Fournette though. That's the beauty of it.
That's possible.
It's
you might get one of each. You might get the luck box. All right. Well, we're going to talk about Sanders in a second. We've also already talked way too long about Clyde. This is no longer a rapid fire game. I was going to do 5 of these.
You went too long. I was concise.
No, you were not concise. You were not concise. All right. Here's the next one. Okay.
All right.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. Nicholas Chubb is currently the RB1 overall. All right. He was drafted as the RB14. Rest of season will be closer to RB1 or RB14.
He's going to be the RB14. He has 5 or 6 touchdowns in 4 games.
He's good.
That simply doesn't happen. He scored.
Yeah, but he's the best pure rusher in the league.
I looked up his touchdown scoring year over year because people love these touchdown things. And it's like, oh, he's an elite touchdown scorer. I'm like, no, he's had 8, 8, 12, 8 in his career. Like he just scores 8 touchdowns a year. That being said, he misses a few games. It's on 12, 14 games. Still pretty good. It's like 0.75 touchdowns per game. But like he ain't scoring 20 touchdowns this year. I'm sorry. Sorry to all the Nick Chubb lovers. And he's probably, if he's not scoring 20 touchdowns, then he's also probably not running in 50-yard touchdowns every week like he has been. So we're going to see some reduction in the rushing efficiency, and we're going to see reduction in touchdown rate, and we're going to get right back to the Nick Chubb of old. He's been a 15 to 16 point scorer basically since he was a rookie, and it's never changed, and it probably never will. And Nick Chubb is wildly talented and is everything that we should want in a running back, except for the whole point scoring thing. And I've seen some like absolutely absurd Nick Chubb takes on the Twitter, in the Twitterverse, and it's been a little bit alarming that people just last year I went on this huge rant about chasing last week's touchdowns, and that's all that we're doing again this year. We are chasing last week's touchdowns. We are fading guys who don't score touchdowns, and it's driving me nuts, but it's also wonderful because that's our edge. I'm
certainly with you on Nick Chubb. We've seen this story before. Like we have a big sample on Chubb, and look, if the way he was scoring points, like this kind of happened with Henry last year, and then eventually got hurt. But I remember last year, early season Henry, it was like, oh, not only is he scoring a bunch of points, but he's actually kind of doing it differently. Like he's getting more snaps, he's getting more catches. I was like, I didn't foresee this, but it's happening. Chubb has the same role that Chubb always has had. Like Hunt is still playing a role. He's still running more routes. It's not like Nick Chubb is now an 80% bell cow that's getting all the passing down work. He's basically just like, he's having the same Nick Chubb ceiling game that we've seen him have like 6 or 7 of every single year, but he just strung them together in a row. Probably because he played the Panthers, Jets, Steelers, and Falcons the first 4 weeks, right? Like that's like normally you play the worst teams in the league scattered amidst your schedule, not like all in a row. So I think Chubb's going to have a great season. He's going to be really startable like he always is, and he's probably going to be high-end RB2 or a low-end RB1 for the remainder of the season. And because he started so hot, he'll probably finish like a mid RB1 on the season. But
yeah,
because he's already done it. But I don't think that means he's going to do that going forward. All right,
we don't
here's one
have
that's
those
serious.
points going forward.
You don't. No, that's the person who trades him to you gets to count those points still. You only get his future points. Okay, this one is interesting because it's a player that fair to say you've been lower than the market on, but maybe not any longer.
That's strange because I'm not usually lower than the market on players.
That's true. You're very positive. This player has an entirely respectable, but not league winning, 16.1 fantasy points per game. This player was drafted as the wide receiver 6. Is currently the wide receiver 18. His name is Cedarian Lamb. Is Cedarian Lamb going to finish closer to wide receiver 6 the rest of the way, or wide receiver 18?
I would just like to rapid fire for a moment because you made the show sheet with 4 players. You've now asked me about none of those players. And that's a beautiful thing.
Because I made up a game.
You're just shooting me from left field. I had prepared answers for these players, and now I'm.
Well, that's a different segment. That's a different segment. I didn't name the players for the segment because I wanted to get you fresh.
There's literally 4 players. Anyway, you can't see the show sheet. Maybe I'll get Matt to post the show sheet so you can see Jacob lying through his teeth, lying through the mouth of Satan right now. Anyways, here's the thing. Cedarian Lamb is absolutely a high-end wide receiver 1. It's the weirdest, just the weirdest thing. We've been lower than consensus because he's never had a lot of targets. And then suddenly he gets a lot of targets and his price falls through the floor. Like, what are people thinking? They're like, he's going to be the wide receiver 1. He's going to get this huge target share. He's going to get all the targets. Amari Cooper is gone. There's vacation targets just sitting here for him to pick up. And then he gets the targets and like, well, I don't know. He's scoring like he's always scored. This isn't really what we signed up for. And then I'm out here in like week 2 being like, we need to go get CD Lamb. CD Lamb's available. He's doing the thing that they wanted him to do. And they lowered the price. Like now it makes perfect sense. I've
been losing my mind this season.
I'd have paid wide receiver 2 or 3 or probably wide receiver 3 prices in Dynasty today. I would be fine.
He probably
with that.
is the wide receiver 3 right now.
He should be.
He probably is. I was like saying, I was like, he probably is it. I was like, it seems like he's just as good as all these other guys, and he has the best situation, which is why everybody else was drafting him. So, and he's the dude. He's it.
And, all right, on that topic, Cooper Rush playing like a completely competent quarterback is alarmingly awesome. Like great job. Is there a team in the NFL
never lost
a
the start? Cooper Rush.
Hey,
he's never lost the start. He's 4-0 now.
Dude's unbeatable. QB wins, baby. Let's go. But like, seriously, is there a team in the entire history of the football world that just continually cranks out these like day 3 shitty quarterbacks to be good? Like they went from Tony Romo to Dak Prescott. Now they have Cooper Rush. None of these guys were drafted highly. They're all pretty good. Well, we don't know for sure with Cup. Totally wrong, Cooper. With Rush, if he's good or not, he looks good. He's playing well. He might be good.
He's at least competent.
Well done, Jerry. Like Jerry doesn't get a lot of props. Jerry's crushing it with the late round QBs.
Yeah,
like
true.
Just impressive.
He's like the JJ Zacharyson of the NFL.
Yeah.
He's the late round quarterback, Jerry Jones.
He's like, hey guys, I read this book. It says we should never draft a quarterback early. Let's just keep taking them late and we'll just get the good ones.
I love it. Okay, now I'm going to ask you about the players that are on the show sheet. And the reason I didn't bring those up is because, like, in the other game, it was like, is it going to be closer to? This is, like, obvious because these players are, like, so far under that it's almost impossible for them to actually finish where they are currently situated. But I want to talk about them more generally in terms of, are they going to be rising up back to where we thought, or are they just totally put in the graveyard? So you don't get to talk about Gabe Davis because you already wasted it by not being able to hold your load for 22 minutes. But okay, we're now going to talk about some players so disappointing that we can't even apply this game because it's almost impossible for them to finish as low as their current ranks are. And I've included one player that I think is like a major source of panic for a lot of people that they drafted very highly. One that's sort of a pet player that we both love very much. and then one where we each get a chance to victory lap the other one a little bit here. So the first one is our shared, I won't say love, I'll say our shared like, because we've argued on both sides of this player a couple of times. But it's Elijah Less. It's Elijah Less. The New York Jets are throwing more passes than any team in the NFL, and he does not have 10 PPR points in a game. I'm surprised and angry at myself that I didn't do this. I wish I had pulled a list of every NFL wide receiver that has 10 PPR points in a single game this season. I imagine it's like 200 players. Elijah Moore's not on that list. I would like you to say whether or not Elijah Moore is like fully dead or if there's going to be a return from the grave.
So, like, the interesting thing about Elijah Moore and our, what would be the word? Our paths to get to Elijah Moore, like being in like with Elijah Moore. Basically, in the offseason, this offseason, there was repeated debate between Rashad Bateman versus Elijah Moore. And I was obviously on the Bateman side and you were on the Elijah side. And then there was further debate between Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson. And I was on the Elijah side and you were on the Wilson side. And the interesting thing about all this is that
I was right, clearly, because Garrett Wilson is so much better than either of these scrubs, Bateman and Moore.
I don't know that we can really go there yet because it's
we can go there.
It's too soon. It's too soon.
Well, okay.
I mean, I love Garrett Wilson too. I'm not even against it. I just thought it was a little premature to be anointing him better than Elijah Less.
Now it's not premature. I don't think it's premature right now.
No, it's not premature anymore. I would rather have Garrett Wilson handily. But what I want to go back to, because there's this rumor that I think that you need to debunk, because way back when, I remember you were one of the pioneers of the Elijah Moore is bad club. This was your take. This was your take. I remember it distinctly. You were on Twitter saying Elijah Moore not good years ago. Is this true?
Yeah, actually, I met him in 2006, and he stole my Bob the Builder, and I was like, "How dare this guy?" No, that could not be further from the truth. People have been spreading rumors about me. They are slanderous.
Would you say that it's grossly false?
I would say that it was grossly false. Grossly false and slanderous.
Grossly false, awful.
People are saying things. People are saying things, and yet they are grossly slanderous. No, I've always liked Elijah Moore, and I basically had him in a tier of wide receivers that I liked similarly, and pre-draft, and then I basically just put him at the end of the tier in my pre-draft rankings and said, well, I think I like these guys similarly, and he's the smallest, so I'm just going to put him here for now, and then we'll see what happens with draft capital. And then that looked really dumb when the draft happened, and he got good draft capital, and other guys that I like didn't. And then now it looks pretty good because Amon-Ra St. Brown is way fucking better than Elijah Moore, and we won't talk about De'Ami Brown. But
no, you did not have De'Ami Brown ahead of Elijah Moore.
Pre-draft, obviously not post-draft. No. I didn't have Amon-Ra ahead of Elijah Moore post-draft either. That would have been obviously completely insane. But the point is I like Elijah Moore. I just liked other profiles a little bit more than Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore, is he going to recover? Or is he Elijah Less for life?
Of course he's going to recover.
How much is he going to recover? Because I understand he's going to score 10 fantasy points at some point in time.
He's definitely going to score more.
Is he going to average that? Is he going to average 12? Is he ever going to be a player that we care about? Is he just Brandon Ayuk? Is he Chase Claypool? What are we doing here?
I'm just thinking about it now. And is Elijah Moore behind Gabriel Davis in points per game? Because that's really embarrassing for me.
I'm actually not sure.
It's close, I bet.
Let me take a look.
We're off again. I'm just going to talk about Elijah Moore.
I'm going to take a look, although unfortunately there's a lot of scrolling that needs to be done to get to either of those players.
So anyway,
Gabriel Davis, 9.3, Elijah Moore, 8.4. You really do hate to see it.
Ouch. And nobody's trolling me for that. Hard to believe, but true. Anyways, Elijah Moore, he's going to bounce back because he is playing all of the routes. Actually on Sunday, I think he got all of his receiving yards on a single drive, which was hilarious.
Yeah, I liked that drive. I didn't like the rest of the game very much.
Yeah, that drive was pretty special. Great job, Zach Wilson, on that one drive. If you could repeat that. It was a good drive. I think you guys even scored at the end of it. So, like,
yeah, they did.
Probably keep that up. It was a good idea. Anyway, Elijah Moore is playing a lot. He is very good. We know this because we've got more than a 4-game sample on Elijah Moore. I understand that this is the pivotal moment in the season where we have to get in or out. And Elijah Moore, I'm all in on because we have his entire college profile. We have his entire rookie season. And now we have 4 games that's kind of running in the face of that. But he's still playing. It's not like he's like sitting on the bench like in the doghouse like Brandon Ayuk was last year.
Right. He's not getting tonied.
It's just a matter of time, I think. Now, your question was, where is he going to finish the rest of season? He's certainly not going to be a wide receiver 1. He might be a wide receiver 2. He's probably going to be right in that fringy zone, like 13-ish points per game, I would guess.
Kind of what I think too.
Rest of the season, nothing overly exciting. If I were playing in a redraft league, I would not be going out of my way to go and acquire Elijah Moore. If I were playing in a dynasty league and Zach Wilson was looking impressive, I might go and get Elijah Moore because if Zach Wilson is good, he could very easily be good enough to support both Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson. And Garrett Wilson's probably better at this point, so you win that round. But Rashad Bateman might be better than Elijah Moore. We still don't know. Time will.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's just talk about that guy because he wasn't on the show sheet. But Rashad Bateman, he was not running a lot of routes the first 2 weeks. He was outrageously efficient, so it didn't matter. He has still not been running a lot of routes the last 2 weeks. He has not been outrageously efficient any longer. What the fuck is happening? He ran 53% of the routes this week.
Well, he got hurt. He's got a boot on or something.
But he came back in the game. And when John Harbaugh was asked why he didn't play that much, he didn't say he was hurt. He said, we'll have to take a look at that.
Oh, I presume that was because he didn't know if he was hurt or not.
I agree, but I'm trolling you.
All right. Well, anyways, yeah, but even still, his snap share of the first 3 weeks was embarrassing. His route participation is 75.2%, which is highly not good. That's before week 4. So, not loving it, but he's still young. He's 22 years old. We still got time. And
I think similarly, like the wide receiver 2-3 fringe zone.
Yeah, he's going to be in that I don't care about range in redraft, so I'm not going to get him in redraft. But I'm still interested in Dynasty because I think there is still a path for him to be excellent. He still has a 20.4% target share. Like, it's not like he's doing nothing. He's just not as good as I thought he was going to be thus far.
All right. I agree with you here. Let's do Alvin Kamara. Let's leave wide receivers for a second. Alvin Kamara has had a truly atrocious start to the season. He's been injured. When he's played, he hasn't done anything. Is this like a 5-alarm fire on Alvin Kamara? Like, are we just dumping him for whatever we can get in Dynasty, or is this the bottom? Is this where we're going to buy him? We're going to ride the points into the sunset. This does feel like kind of an inflection point from Kamara for whenever he comes back from this latest injury.
Yeah, I'm okay going and getting Alvin Kamara at this point, depending on the price. I haven't really seen any trades in any of my leagues for him.
Okay, well, let's say this. Let's say you could move. Let's say you're asked to move Elijah Moore for Alvin Kamara in Dynasty. Would you do that?
If I'm competing, I'd absolutely. Even if if I'm competing, I'm absolutely doing it. If I'm rebuilding, I'm probably not doing it because Alvin Kamara is never really going to be a high value guy anymore. He's 27 years old. But yeah, if I can move Elijah Moore, who is probably a fringy wide receiver 2-3. Perhaps going forward, we don't know how long that will last, but I think it's probably going to be how he's going to finish the season. Alvin Kamara still has a 15.5% target share. He's been in and out of the games. He's injured. Like, I'm not that concerned about him at this juncture. He's got a 77.8 opportunity share, 15.5% target share. That's number 8, number 5 in the NFL. He's getting a very large workload, and he gets the very exciting touches. And I'd be buying Alvin Kamara on every single competitive team that I have because once I'm assuming he's going to be healthy at some point the rest of the season. Yeah. And I'm just going to ride him into the sunset at this point in Dynasty because I wish I had it up. Alvin Kamara is possibly the most impressive fantasy performer for his career that we've ever seen. Like, the guy has been, what is it here? Oh, it's right here. he has been wide receiver 4, or sorry, running back 4, running back 4, running back 8, right, running back 1, running back 4 that's his entire career. That's no weeks off, no seasons off. He's literally been top 5 every year except for one where he was top 8, and that year he still had 17.8 fantasy points per game. The guy is basically automatic. He gets a ton of high value touches. Now he gets a ton of touches. Early in his career, he was a lot more efficiency driven. Now he's pretty volume driven. And if he comes back and is healthy and plays, he's probably still going to score you 18 to 23 fantasy points per game like he always has.
Yeah, I'm inclined to be with you. I'm buying more old running backs these days than I've ever been. Like I went, this is like crazy to say, but after the first couple of weeks, I went on a Derrick Henry buying spree. Like I was buying some Derrick Henry. I don't think I've ever been overweight on Derrick Henry in Dynasty in my life, maybe since like his 3rd year in the league. But yeah, like I was able to get Derrick Henry. There was like a couple little things added on, but essentially I was able to get Derrick Henry straight up for Jahan Dotson. I was able to trade, what was it? Prior to the season. So, maybe you might even get him cheaper now, although one of these guys has gone way downhill too. But I was able to trade Ramondre, KJ Hamler, and Wandale for Alvin Kamara. Traded Dameon Pierce in one spot for Derrick Henry. I'm buying these old running backs right now. They're at a price where like it used to be these guys would be costing multiple firsts. They're obviously not worth that. So like it's a legitimate downgrade in value. They don't have that much time left. The way I'm treating a lot of these guys is like, okay, whatever. Now the dynasty market is kind of assuming that they're already cooked in terms of their talent. Like the risk is kind of off at this point. Like you just get what you pay for until you don't anymore. And it's fine. Like that's why I was not buying these guys or startups. I was buying Fournette or Connor or even Zeke or whatever, because it was like, I'll just buy the guys that the market has already determined is bad. So they don't have any juice left in their ADP. Like people are just looking at them as 1-year rentals. But if like Cook or Kamara or Henry or these guys are now into that tier where the market is like, you're bad now and we don't care about you, then fine. I'll just take the points for as long as I can get them, because it is pretty easy to replace a lot of these players that like we might like, but that don't really matter.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
All right, that's Kamara. 2 last guys. I'll let you do the lap first. Gabriel Davis. Will Gabriel Davis be bouncing back this year?
Gabriel Davis will definitively not be bouncing back this year because he still has a 10% target share, even though he's getting all the routes. He's injured. Yes, he is injured, and that's probably affecting him to some degree. But also the coaching staff is still putting him out on like every single play.
Literally everyone.
So I don't know how injured he necessarily is. He is, or I don't know how much that's really affecting him. Could be a lot, but it's probably not affecting him to a degree where he would be paying off at ADP if he were still 100% healthy. Because, like, honestly, he's got 10% target share. Like, we don't see players go from a 20%, 25% target share down to a 10% target share when they have a high ankle sprain. We see them go from like a 20% to an 18%. And then we see a little bit less efficiency generally. Like they don't cut their target share in half just because they're injured. So he's toast. And I'm sorry that you did not heed my warning and drafted him anyway because of vacation targets and a high value offense. You might as well have just taken Alan Lazard for a lot less.
Kid's going to be just fine. All right, here's my victory lap. It's the guy that I made my fade of the year on the Dynasty Intervention podcast this year in redraft specifically, but I don't have much in Dynasty either. Mr. Allen Robinson, is he just like done? Is he fully AJ Green?
Yeah, he's toast. It's over. The first week I was like, first game, like maybe working out the kinks. And then nothing's changed. And like, side note, I'm sending out offers for Tyler Higbee, which I've never done in my life. If he's just going to get this many targets, like he can't fail. Like he just can't fail with that many targets. Nobody can. Yeah, I could catch. They're going to throw the ball to me that many times. I might be okay. Like I might be a tight end 1. You'd probably be a tight end 1. You'd score touchdowns really tall.
No, I kind of agree. Like I mean, the only thing that gives me slight pause is like they are going to get some bodies. Like Van Jefferson should be back soon. I mean, he sucks, but he's probably better than Bennett Skoranek. Honestly, he's probably better than Allen Robinson at this point. And then like I still think they're going to re-sign OBJ, but we'll see.
I think so.
That being said, like OBJ is old. He's coming off back-to-back ACL tears. Like I don't know if he has much left. If he does, it's probably next year. It's probably not this year. So I don't. I think that Higbee thing makes sense. Like we've seen this with tight ends, where tight ends get off to seemingly unsustainable starts based on their talent profile, but they're getting a lot of usage. And usually the time to fade them is next year. But like in the meantime, they usually keep it up. Like we saw this with Schultz last year. We saw this with Logan Thomas the year before. We've seen this with Gary Barnidge in the past. Like there's these guys where it's like, this guy stinks. Why is he getting so many targets? And like next year, they probably won't. But like in the meantime, it's like, because the thing with tight ends, I just think it's a little different. Like with the routes, in air quotes, that Tyler Higbee runs, it's like, okay, well, they're going to cover Kupp and he's still going to get 1 million targets. And then they're like, all right, well, we'll pay attention to deep guys, I guess. But if you want to just chuck to Higbee for 6 yards a pop, like I'm sure like defenses are pretty open to it and they're doing it. So it's crazy. They don't ever throw to the running back. Like I think that they're treating Higbee as like a satellite running back. And it's, I mean,
yeah, I think so. Which is really odd because like they're really not throwing to the running backs. And like even when Todd Gurley was there, like I feel like he wasn't like Christian McCaffrey or anything when it came to targets, but I feel like he still had like a 15% target share. I don't know that Henderson and Akers together have a 15% target share.
No, not even close. I mean, I've been saying in Hitchhiker's Guide, like 2 weeks ago, I was like Henderson's behind Akers and touches, but he's running all these routes, so it's a matter of time until he starts getting targets. And then the next week I was like, he still didn't get any targets. And at this point, I'm just like, okay, well, I don't really know what to make of these routes because apparently they don't mean anything. So I'm not really sure if that's going to actually change. It's a bit of a trend.
I just looked. Gurley's big boy seasons where he was RB1 in 2017 and 18, he had an 18.2 and 16.3% target.
I don't even know if they're at 8.2 this year.
Yeah, it's wild. Like they're just absolutely not throwing to, and like this is why I absolutely despise like all these like quarterback corollary kind of things where it's like, Tom Brady loves throwing to the tight end. No, Tom Brady liked throwing to Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, Stafford throwing to Theo Riddick.
I was gonna say Matt Stafford used to be the guy who loved to throw to the freaking running back because he's threw to Theo Riddick, who was
maybe that was just Jim Bob Cooter's offense.
It was a pretty good pass catcher in his day. And I'm like, maybe he just liked to throw to Theo Riddick. Maybe Theo Riddick was better than we thought. I don't know. But he sure as hell ain't throwing to the running backs now.
That's for sure. My goodness. All right.